So, yes, Friday the 21st of April 2023. Having trouble with this chair again. Now, yes, what are we going to talk about today? Well, as a result of yesterday, I made a video yesterday, and someone made a comment. Nice guy. Sounds like he's been on a similar sort of journey to me. That in spiritual, whatever you want to call it, circles. It's not a word I like to use. I don't know why. Let's not worry about that. But in spiritual circles, there's this term called the seeker. Seeking, looking. In fact, I just watched a video by a young Englishman. This bloody chair. It's called Matt Garrett. He's, from what I've sort of gleaned from his other YouTube videos, he makes he's a program maker for TV. Very talented guy. Quite young as well. I'd imagine he's only in his mid-20s. He made a wonderful sort of documentary about a guy called John Butler, who's this old Englishman. I think he's in his sort of 80s or even 90s now. He's written books. And some people call John Butler the English Ramana Maharshi, who was this Indian sage guru, whatever you want to call him. And John Butler, it's worth watching. I'll see if I can get some links to these things, put them in the box below. Just talks about his journey, his seeking. Matt was talking about his, that, for a young guy, I thought, my God, when I was his age, I was working in the TV industry for ITV. What was I doing then? I was what they call an account manager. Let's go round seeing all these, most of them brilliant people. I lived in the southwest of England, worked for a company called Television Southwest. So we had the ITV franchise for Devon, Cornwall, part of Somerset and Dorset. And in the summer, like millions of people would come to that part of England for their summer holidays. So there were lots of tourist attractions, and they were my favourite to go and see them and flog them some advertising. And it was a wonderful life. And I was newly married, and fabulous cars, and everything was paid for. We used to go to fabulous places every year for something called a sales conference, which I suppose we did do a bit of conferencing, but mainly it was about getting drunk and having a whale of a time in the most wonderful places. Went to New York one year. I love digressing. Tell my stories. I guess that's what I used to do. Tell my stories. But I did wake up in New York, I have to tell you. We'd been drinking for 2 or 3 days. And oh my God, I woke up in the hotel. I had a hangover that I said would kill a normal person. Anyway, at Matt's age, I was having a whale of a time. I don't know if he's having a whale of a time or not, but I certainly wasn't concerning myself with seeking to find some sort of I don't know. I have to ask him what he was seeking. We're all seeking ourselves, really, our true selves. That's the nub of it. Who we truly are, not who we think we are, not who we're conditioned into thinking we are. You know, back at that I was talking about when I used to work for Television Southwest and going to New York. And I remember one year we went to this fabulous French chateau called the Chateau Fabergé near Lyon. It's a beautiful place. And there was lots of drinking there. And in one of the rooms there was we later found out it was an Italian 16th century bed. It was this huge sort of four-poster bed. And the room was assigned to a sales controller, which is like the deputy sales director. And she was an amazing person. She was an opera singer. And it's funny how these people end up flogging television airtime, for the commercials to play. Anyway, we got horribly drunk one lunchtime, and I don't know, she said, "Oh, I've got champagne up in my room." She ordered a load of champagne. We could do that in those days. Bottles and bottles of champagne. We all went up there and then somebody decided, let's see how many people we could get on her bed. And he said her name then. Oh, I don't care. She was called Tess Alps. She was lovely. Everybody loved Tess. She was so clever, beautiful singer. Anyway, we all piled onto Tess's bed. And then there was this awful crack. It was like a gunshot. And the bed dropped down and we'd broken it. We'd broken the bed from like the headboard. And, sorry, busted the bed. Anyway, it wasn't just any old bed. It was a 16th century Italian bed. I think it was made in Venice or somewhere, we later found out. And they had to bring guys in from Italy, specialists, to repair it. And they sent the bill to the boss. And I think in those days, this is like over 30 years ago, it was like 10,000 quid. I suppose it's the equivalent today of, I don't know, 50 or 60. Hell of a lot of money. Anyway, I digress. It was funny. But the boss did. But the owner, or the manager of the Chateau Fabergé, did say to the boss, "Look, you're very welcome to come back here with your wife at any time, but don't ever bring your people here again, please." Anyway, right, so where were we? Matt Garrett, yeah, and I watched this, it's about, what he sort of started seeking, he didn't know what he was seeking, happiness, I guess. Then he made this beautiful film, absolutely stunning. So yeah, what started on his seeking? I don't think I've ever found out what started him on his seeking. Usually seeking starts. It's not something you think, oh, I'm going to go and try and find all the answers to my not feeling great in my case. In fact, feeling far from great, which put me on my seeking. I ended up in Oxford, in England, and then I've talked about it in a couple of other videos. Went to Thailand to see if I could find some sort of relief, some sort of support, some kind of explanation as to what had happened or why it had happened, and not really getting anywhere very fast. I remember I was in this, I talked about it in another video, I think it's called Finding Peace in Thailand. I went to this sort of mindful community in Thailand to do, well, yoga and meditation, and I thought I was quite interested in Buddhism by then. Anyway, when I got there, it was great, and I found this abbot. Over the road was a temple, and the Buddhist abbot there was very helpful, and I've talked about that as well. But also I met another Buddhist monk from the Theravada tradition there. and he was of no help whatsoever. In fact, I don't know where he trained. I think he was German. I think he came from a UK monastery in England. Not sure, can't remember. Didn't speak to him very much, apart from once when I said to him, "Well, could I talk to you?" And he said, "What?" He said, "I'm just about to have my lunch." So I said, "Well, it's 12 o'clock, lunch isn't served until 1. And he said, "No, I have my lunch at 12. And I said, "Oh, well, perhaps I could talk to you after you've had your lunch then." He said, "No, I don't think I'd want to really." Oh, I said, "That's okay." And with that, he used to have I don't know, I've never come across it, but he had like a servant, like a younger monk, who had brought his lunch on a silver tray. And I just thought, this isn't for me. There's nothing this guy can say to me that's going to help me at all. Because they're supposed to have no worldly goods or whatever, apart from a begging bowl and the robes he stands up in and his sandals. But he's got a servant bringing him his lunch on a silver tray. I don't mean solid silver. I mean, it was, I suppose it was stainless steel or something. But I just said, "Oh, I'm sorry to have bothered you." And I think he said sort of give Dharma, talk, and someone said something like, "Oh, what does the compassionate voice have to say?" They called him the compassionate voice. And I thought, well, I didn't find much compassion from the guy, because I was really emotionally all over the place that day. I was really in quite a lot of trouble, and I just wanted to talk to him. Anyway, so seeking, and this talk is all about Ramesh Balsekar. I came across Ramesh on YouTube some years later, after I'd come back from Thailand and actually gone out there again and come back. And I found this guy called Ramesh Balsekar, and just come up with my YouTube algorithms. I think I watched a few YouTube videos of a pupil of his, an Australian called Roger Castillo. And immediately, what Ramesh was saying started to resonate with me. I remember the first talk I saw, I think it's Back to the Basics. He would often say at the beginning of the meeting, the satsang, so it's in his flat in Bombay and all these people. Look, what I'm going to say to you now is, please just listen to my words. Just listen. Don't try and grasp the words, grasp the concepts, and immediately what will happen with many people is you will try and argue. Every concept is a counter-concept. You can agree with it or disagree with it, but just let the concepts sink in. Listen with not with your ears, but with your heart, is what he used to say. And and that's what I did. And slowly but surely, these concepts, which he would repeat again and again and again, and answer the same questions again and again and again. People asking the same question. And very often he would have to say to them, "Look, can I say to you what I think that your question is?" Because people just rant on sometimes. "I think your question is, you want to be a good person and you want to do the right thing, i.e. God's will. You want to do God's will." Well, you can't know what God's will is. You can't know. All you can do is do what you think and feel like doing and not be attached to the outcome. And sometimes you'll get the outcomes you want, sometimes you won't, sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less, sometimes you'll get an outcome that you never ever wanted or thought you didn't want. But very often when people were at the satsang for the first time, he would ask them their name and where they were from, and sometimes, why have you come here? Why have you come all the way to Bombay to see me? And they would just say, oh, I'm a seeker. Somebody said to me that you want to go and see this guy. He might be able to help you. And very often they would say that, they've been going from teacher to teacher, from satsang to satsang, books, videos, retreats of all kinds, but never really found any satisfaction. And he would say to them, well, how long have you been doing this? And sometimes people say, well, as long as I can remember, since I was 21. He said, how old are you now? 66. Oh, so 40 years. Over 40 years you've been seeking. Yeah, well, what have you been? I don't really know, just some sort of... He said, well, I'll tell you what I think you're looking for, if you like. Yeah, I'd agree. He said, I think what you're looking for is happiness. Or peace of mind. And they'd say, yeah, I think that's what it is. Because you'd say, you're not happy, are you? No. And he said, yes, that's what happens. Is the seeking happens. You don't decide, oh, I'm going to try and find... It just happens. Some big event in your life will happen when everything that you gives your life meaning pretty much leaves your life. And that's when the seeking happens. And this isn't in your control. It's the will of the source. It's your destiny playing out. And when I heard this, I thought, yeah, he's absolutely right. He said, well, what I'm offering is if you listen to the teachings, and if it's the will of the source, or the great ordainer, universal law, then you will find peace of mind. If it's your destiny to do so, through the grace of God, he would say, you'll find peace of mind. And that came from understanding that everything happens the way it's always going to happen. It's like it's in the can, it's a film. And you will do whatever you're programmed to do as a result of your genetics and your conditioning. It all just happens. And you do what you do. And when you can understand that you're not the doer, of course you carry out your actions, but the actions are what you're always going to do. And the same for everybody else. So there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no resentment, there's no pride or arrogance in what you've got right. Oh, I did that, that was my fault. No, you can take pleasure in having a successful outcome. But in the same way, don't beat yourself up. Don't have any guilt or shame about doing something that didn't have a great outcome. It's just what happened. You're always going to do that. Doesn't mean you've got to do it again. Well, of course you might. So yeah, the seeking just happens. You don't have any control over it. Yeah, what's brought you here? I don't know. Someone said you might better help me. You're an amazing guy. So yeah, in my case, I had everything I ever wanted. Sometimes I used to wake up we used to live in a beautiful house in a beautiful part of England. Had everything. And this isn't arrogance or even then I used to pinch myself and think, is this a dream? To have all this? Beautiful, wonderful wife, 2 sons, fantastic house. We even owned an apartment in Mallorca, outright with my parents-in-law. We owned it. Didn't have a penny on it. I was thinking when I put this jumper on, but a bit of a scruffy old shirt on. So, I don't know, vanity. I'll put that grey jumper on. It goes quite well with my my beard. Oh, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with trying to look good, be looking good. But it suddenly occurred to me that I just used to have a watch. I used to have a Rolex watch, the Swiss-made watch. I bought one for me and I bought one for my now ex-wife. She still got hers. I flogged mine. I couldn't bear wearing it. It used to remind me of, what I used to have. So I sold it and I bought another watch, which I don't have anymore. But I was thinking that watch was worth more money than I've got in the bank now. In fact, 20 times what I've got in the bank now, if not more. It's quite crazy, isn't it? That what appears will disappear. You can laugh about it. So yeah. There's also another film by an American guy called Todd Perelmuter, I think it's pronounced. And funnily enough, he's an ex-Adman from New York. And maybe even gone to his agency that time. He went to New York for a sales conference. We went around all the agencies and other broadcasters, radio companies and TV companies, find out how they did things. And it was great. He might have worked in one of those agencies. But he made this fantastic film. What they call the production values. All beautiful mountains and rivers and lakes, talking about seeking. What did he call it again? It was called Alone to Oneness. Because it's a beautiful, I'll see if I can put a link in there. It's a fantastic, beautifully, he narrates it. I think he's going to cry at one point. But I've listened to other of his videos and similar things happened to him that happened to me. He was a very successful Adman, as I was. And he lost everything. I think he even said something like, the dog died. Which our dog died. Oh, we had to have him put down. Poor old thing. Beautiful dog. Yeah, the dog went and then everything else went. And that's when he said he's seeking stuff. Similarly, I think he lost. I think his house or his flat in New York was broken into. Doesn't really matter, but from what I remember, his flat was broken into and they stole everything he ever had. And then he burnt down or something. Our house didn't burn down. We just sold them and sort of split the money. You do. But I've made another video about this. So I cannot find my happiness in the flow of life. I thought I'd find my happiness in the flow of life. Like I said, fantastic family man. I was a local politician. I used to enjoy doing that. I was a seat on the local district council. He used to sit on what they call a development control committee. It was like a planning committee. I used to love doing that. Sort of the mental rigour of it all. I thought I was doing something useful. So to wear all these hats, all these titles. You know, trustee of this, director of that. They all went. And all the people that I used to mix with, they all went as well. One by one, bit by bit. Especially when I went to Oxford, and then some of them I used to keep in contact. But when I went to Thailand, I think I've severed links with near enough everybody. This, you know, as they say, out of sight, out of mind, don't they? Anyway, yeah, so Todd made this. The production values on that are just absolutely stunning. But essentially, what he was saying was what Ramesh was saying. I cannot find my happiness in the flow of life. And suddenly you find yourself all alone. And you have to be alone, I think. Well, you don't have to be. It's just what the universe, what your destiny is, to find out that everything is just one. We're one with everything. As Ramesh would say, it's just the manifestation is made up of interconnected opposites. Everything's connected. I don't know if Todd said it I think he might have done in his video, but is that if you take an electron microscope, you know, a very powerful microscope, and you look at your skin, the skin of the human body, that you wouldn't see any difference between the inside of the skin itself, and the outside. It's just made up of atoms, of stuff. There's no division. We're all one. We all breathe the same air. You know, breathing is life, really. Yeah. When the breathing stops, good night, Vienna. And then the exciting journey begins, so they say. The body dies, but this essence, this spark of the divine that resides in all of us and all living things, isn't destroyed. It returns to the source, and we may reincarnate or be reborn. There's a difference between reincarnation and rebirth. I might do a video about that one day, because it's really interesting. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful film that Todd made. And I was absolutely, it's had 2 million views. 2 million. You know, I was quite happy with my video I made yesterday, getting 21 views by lunchtime today, when I started to make this one. So there you are, seeking. What are you seeking? Happiness, peace of mind in everyday living is what Ramesh offered. And you can call it what I like to call it self-realization. We actually realize what we are and what this manifestation is and how we're part of it. That's it for me. And it doesn't matter what happens, it's going to happen. And if we label it good or bad, that's okay. This is happening. This is good. Yeah, I've just done a deal, have I? Yeah. I used to do deals for millions of pounds. It's quite extraordinary, really. When I was an art dealer, I used to sell paintings for tens and tens and tens of thousands of pounds. And it wasn't me doing it, though. It was my destiny. It was just my destiny playing out. But you can take pleasure in from doing a good deal. as you can take displeasure from, I don't know, losing some money, have some money stolen from you. Right, so there you are. If you like this video, please subscribe. Push the like button if you liked it. Hope you did. Suppose you got this far, you might have done. Please leave a comment, send me an email, ask me a question, and I'll be very pleased to hear from you. I'm going to go for my walk now. Anyway, take care.